Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing good wherever you are. Welcome back to our channel. And today I'm going to be sharing with you more about the recruitment, selection, and training of employees. And let's see what this topic has for us. So, number one, recruitment and selection of employees. On this area here, you need to understand the methods that can be used to recruit and select employees, the differences between the internal and external recruitment, the main stages in recruitment and selection of employees, and be able to recommend and justify who to employ in given circumstances, the benefits and the limitations of the part-time and the full-time employees. Secondly, the importance of training and the methods of training. So you need to also understand the methods, which can either be induction training, on-the-job training, and off-the-job training, and be able to explain their benefits and their limitations. Thirdly, why reducing the size of the workforce might be necessary, of which this can be done through dismissal and redundancy. Examples should be shared as well. And also understand the situations in which downsizing the workforce might be necessary, and these can either be automation or reduced demand for the products a business is issuing to the market, and be able to recommend and justify which employees to make redundant in given circumstances. And the fourth area here is about the legal controls over employment issues and their impact on employers and also the employees, of which there are a lot of legal controls or simply laws which govern both the employees and the employers. So we're going to talk about these as well as we go. All right, let's talk about the first area here. Who is responsible for recruitment and selection? It is the Human Resource Department. So amongst other functions that they perform, they also have that list. So the first thing here, they recruit and select employees. They're the ones who are responsible in attracting and selecting the best candidates for a vacancy or a job post. And the ones as well who determine the best wage or salary for their employees in order for them to attract and retain employees, and also to motivate them with that payment. They are responsible also for the industrial relations, meaning to say they're the ones who facilitate effective communication between the management and the workforce in order for them to solve any complaint or disputes which may exist between the two parties, as well as discussing the ideas and suggestions on how to resolve their differences. And also, they're the ones who determine the training programs. Sometimes the employee skills, knowledge, and also ideas may no longer be relevant to an organization due to changes in the business environment. So for the employees to stay abreast with the changes happening in the business environment, they need to provide various ways of training employees in order for them to increase their productivity as well as efficiency. And also, they're the ones who are supposed to make sure the workplace has got good health and safety. So all laws on health and safety conditions in the workplace are supposed to be adhered to through the HR enforcing them on the employees. And lastly, the redundancy and dismissal. Managers should dismiss any unsatisfactory or misbehaving employees and make them redundant if they're no longer needed by the business. Sometimes your skills, your knowledge may no longer be relevant to a particular organization, and they will be forced to make you redundant. And if you go on to do any misconduct or gross misconduct, the HR department also has the powers to dismiss you from the work or the job that you are doing. All right, for example, if you steal from the organization, that one is a gross misconduct. It calls for instant dismissal. If you fight or do any other gross misconducts, they call for instant dismissal. But the misconducts, they may actually call for some warnings to be given here and there. But if you continuously misbehave, then that is defined as a gross misconduct and you'll be dismissed without any warning. All right, let us see the next part here, which is the recruitment. It's simply a process from identifying that the business needs to employ someone up to the point where applications have arrived at the business. So the moment we identify a vacancy up until we receive the applications, that is actually defined as recruitment. So if a vacancy arises when an employee resigns from a job or is dismissed by the management, that vacancy, it needs to be filled in. And the management, the HR department, is supposed to conduct what we call a job analysis, where they produce a job description and a job specification. So why do businesses recruit? To replace staff who have left or been promoted to higher positions in the organization, or to bring in new skills. Sometimes the current skills we have in our business are no longer relevant or effective or innovative. So we need to bring some new skills from the outside the environment for us to improve our business performance. And also the businesses, they recruit more staff as the business expands. When you open new branches, you need to employ more employees to work in those branches. So all those are reasons why businesses may recruit more employees. So when there is a vacancy, businesses are supposed to, or the HR management is supposed to conduct a job analysis, which brings forth what we call the job description and also the job specification. So what is job analysis? It's simply a study of the tasks and activities to be carried out by the new employee who is supposed to fill in that vacancy or job post that you have in your organization. And the result now will be a job description. And this document here, or this part here, it describes the main duties and responsibilities of the job. It will also include some information to do with the employment conditions, such as the salary, the working hours, the pension scheme, the training to be offered, opportunities for promotion, etc., etc. There are various details that may be included in a job description. And secondly, job analysis, it results also in a document called job specification being created. This one now, it specifies the qualifications and qualities necessary to perform the job or the vacancy at hand. And these include the educational requirements, experience needed, expertise, the skills, the physical or personal characteristics. So those traits which build you up as an individual are the ones to be also considered when it comes to job specification. So the moment you have these two, job description and job specification, what are you supposed to do next? We are supposed to advertise the vacancy, including those two. And this can be done internally or externally. So let's talk first about the internal recruitment. It is when a vacancy is filled by an existing employee of the business. And how can this be done? Through promoting the staff or moving workers from one job to another within the company. So the job adverts in this case here are made through the notice boards, business newsletters, emails, or sometimes WhatsApp groups. They are being used nowadays as well to communicate internally. So you can go on to advertise that vacancy in any way that you find effective as the HR department. There are benefits also which accrue to this. The first one here, it saves time and money. Why? Because you don't need to spend more money on advertising the job vacancy to everyone out there, because your target are the people within the organization. And secondly, the applicants that you attract in this case, they understand, they know the firm inside and out. So it won't take time for you to introduce them to the business because they already understand the business culture. And thirdly, the applicant as well is someone that we know as the HR department or as the management, and everyone around the business, they know that particular applicant because they are from within the business organization. So we can go on to easily interact with them and understand them better than someone we don't know. And also, this method, it motivates other workers. The moment there's a chance for them to get promoted, they will try by all means to work harder, to put more effort towards their work, knowing that when a vacancy arises, they're the ones to be considered first before the business go on to attract from outside the business. But however, there are some drawbacks as well on this area here. The applicants may not bring in new skills or ideas to the business. So we are likely to maintain the skills or knowledge that we might be having already, of which there won't be any improvement in the business performance. Unlike when we attract someone from outside the environment who will bring in something new, something different, something beneficial to the business performance. And also, promoting an employee may make other employees jealousy and demotivated. Both some may feel like they're the ones who deserve the position, but they may not have the relevant skills or qualifications or experience. So they may feel like you are favoring one person and you go on to ignore them. And some may have many years in the organization. Some may have the higher degrees or qualifications. And the moment you ignore them, they will feel demotivated and jealousy of the person that you have promoted to the higher position. And secondly, a business may advertise using the external recruitment, where they can go on now to recruit someone who is not an existing employee and will be new to the business overall. And in this case here, their job adverts are made through the local or national newspapers, specialist magazines, and journals, job centers, recruitment agencies, etc. There are various ways the business can use to attract people from outside the business environment. And benefits of us conducting the external recruitment, what are they? In this case, you are likely to attract new ideas from new workers. Those ideas now can be of benefit to our performance as a business. Innovativeness can also increase, creativity increase, and the business image may be improved than before. And you are likely to hire someone who matches the job specification. Unlike when you're targeting someone from within, you may go on to take them in because you like them, but they don't or they may not match the job specification. So it can also be a drawback if you go on to recruit internally. But however, the moment you decide to recruit externally, it's a very expensive way because you need to advertise the job through various centers, through agencies, and they may charge you a higher fee for their services. And if you're a small business, you may fail to afford to pay such costs. And also, it is demotivating for internal candidates. They also feel like you don't value them, don't value their skills, their experience, their knowledge, because you are considering someone from outside the business organization and not from within. So they also feel demotivated if you go on to attract someone from outside the business environment. Then the moment now you go on to make an advert, next thing you are supposed to select the best candidates from the CVs that you have received. So in this case here, we are going to have the forms of application and the CVs that we have, and we select the ones which matches the job specification, and the ones which don't match we go on to put them aside. That's the first stage of selection. After that, we're gonna call the best candidates or the ones which matches the job specification for interviews, of which interviews they are done to find out more information about the candidates' abilities and their personal qualities. We want to assess them, their skills of communication, and to get to know each other better. That's why interviews are done. And also, interviews, they carry a number of benefits. First one here is to find out if the applicant has the ability to do the job. So some interviews, they can either be both theoretical and also practical, where you can be given a task to perform whilst you're being monitored by the interviewers. And secondly, the personal qualities about the applicant can as well be assessed along the way. And also to see if the candidate will fit in with the culture of the business. Are you likely to be compatible with what we have in organization? All that can be assessed during the interview. And they'll also call up the referee provided by the applicant. So the reference checks can as well be done afterwards. Reference checks can be done to confirm with the previous employer to see if you are someone who is reliable, someone who is honesty, and also someone who is suitable for the job. So that can as well be acquired from your previous employer if there is any. If none, maybe your previous school can give also a recommendation later. And after that, testing can be done, of which applicants may be required to undertake various tests to check their ability to do the job. And the first test that you can have is the skills test. And this one here is done to observe the candidate's skills. Are you able to perform? So we give you a task to perform, then we assess you. Secondly, the aptitude test. This one here is done to see how quickly the candidate can learn new skills. If you're a slow learner and the business requires you to be someone who is very quick, then you may lose the job. And also, we talk about the personality test to see if their personality has the characteristic that the job may require. Some people, they are rude. So that will also make you not to be employable if you're going to work with the customers or to relate as well with the colleagues around. It becomes a challenge. So personality contributes a lot. And also group situation test to see how the candidate works as a team. So you can be put in some groups and you'll be told to do a particular task, and they'll be assessing to see if you're able to interact well with your colleagues or with your teammates. So all that can be done as well to assess you. So there are a number of tests that can be conducted to assess you. And when a successful candidate has been selected, then the others must also be sent a letter of rejection. You must be available. You must be ready to send that as an HR department, because those other employees who have not been called for interviews, they need to also understand their position with the applications they've made in your organization. So remember to send them a letter of rejection. And the best candidate chosen for the position is supposed to be given what we call a contract of employment. It is simply a legal agreement between the employer and the employee, listing the rights and responsibilities of workers. And it normally includes the following: the name of employer and employee, the job title, the date when employment will begin, the hours to work, the rate of pay and other benefits, when payment is made, holiday entitlement, the amount of notice to be given to terminate the employment that the employer or employee must give to end the employment, etc. And also the employment contracts can be part-time or full-time. So all these details are supposed to be part and parcel of a good employment contract. And this contract must be signed by both the employer and the employee. And both parties must have a copy of the signed employment contract, because it is binding between the two parties involved in this agreement. So if any of these two parties here breach the contract, the other party can sue them based on what you have signed for in this employment contract. Then employees, they can be part-time and some may be full-time. So it is often considered to be between 1 and 30 to 35 hours a week, where full-time actually may be 35 hours or more in a week. So part-time employment is popular in some organizations who may not want to pay employees more. So the advantages to employer of part-time employment can also be used as the drawbacks of full-time employment to the employer. So the benefits, what are they? In this case here, it allows you to have more employees during those busy periods as an employer. And also the employees can be flexible enough when it comes to their working hours. They may come for shifts, 2 hours, 3 hours, 10 hours. It just depends with how they want to work. And also it is less expensive than hiring full-time employees. Why? Because full-time employees, they'll call for extra benefits, the medical aid, the fringe benefits like the company house, company car, etc., etc. Those may be called for by full-time employees. So if you have part-time employees, then you won't pay more to these employees because they're not full-time. So you pay them less than hiring the full-time employees. Then the second part here is about the drawbacks to employer of part-time employment, of which this can be used as the benefits of full-time employment to employers. So the first one here is about, it says it's less likely to be trained because the workers see the job as temporary. So in this case here, the employer will be saved when it comes to the cost of training. All right, they won't train them much because they're just there for a while and they'll go. So the cost of training will be minimal. And if they're now minimal, those costs, these employees may lack skills on how to perform their job, and they may go on to affect the quality of the output, and as well as their productivity can as well be lower. And also it takes longer to recruit 2 part-time workers than 1 full-time worker, because you may need someone with good skills who can go on to perform the work. But now if you want to employ 2 workers, it will take you ×2 the time you can take to employ 1 full-time worker. And also the employees you're going to attract in this case, they can be less committed to the business because they know that they are there as part-time, not full-time. And they're more likely to leave and go get another job. So they won't go on to think twice if there is another better job which pays them better than you, where you are only employing them as part-time. They can leave at any time. So your business will suffer when it comes to its performance. And also these employees are less likely to be promoted because they will not have gained the skills and experience as what the full-time employees might be having. And that may also go on to demotivate them and to force them to not perform up to the level that you desire as an employer. And also it's more difficult to communicate with part-time workers especially when they're not in work, because sometimes they stay in different places, locations, and also some they may be far away from you, and hence there'll be different time zones. And now being able to link up with all of these part-time employees, it may be difficult, and you may fail to link up with them all or to call them when need arises. Unlike the full-time employees whom we can go on to talk to regularly. And next area here, let's talk about training. The moment you realize that your employees are no longer productive or efficient, next thing you must think about training. Training is important to a business as it will improve the worker skills and knowledge and help the business to become more efficient and also productive, especially when you introduce new processes and products. You need to train employees for them to understand the new processes or the new changes happening in the business. For example, back then they used to be typewriters, but nowadays they are computers being used by various organizations. And those people who failed to get some training on how to use computers, they lost their jobs. So you need to keep on improving your employee skills through training methods, which are a variety for them to stay abreast with the changes happening in the business environment. And also, the moment an employee is trained, it improves their chances of getting promoted, and also their morale will improve because they're doing a task that they understand. So training can be done in 3 ways. First one here is what we call induction training. Secondly, on-the-job training. And thirdly, off-the-job training. Let's talk about the first one, induction training. It's a way of training, or it's simply a way of introducing a new employee to an organization, for them to understand the business activities, to understand the customs, the procedures, and introducing them to their fellow workers. They need to understand everything that is happening around the business environment. Benefits of doing that, they include the following. It helps the new employees to settle into their job quickly because they now understand everything about the business environment. And secondly, it may be a legal requirement to give the health and safety training before the start of work. Why? Because some jobs are very much risky. So you need to let the employees understand the risks and the hazards which are available in the workplace before they start working. Otherwise, you as the employer, you're the one to pay off the costs that they may suffer if you fail to provide them with the necessary training. And also, they are less likely to make mistakes. Why? Because they now understand how the job is done. So train them the moment they join organization, and mistakes will become minimal. But however, this can also be a time-consuming activity because there can be many new employees, and all of them may want to understand various processes, activities at the same time, and you need to attend to them, and hence time can be wasted whilst you are doing all that. And wages will still have to be paid during training, even though they are not working. But as long as you have given them the employment contract, they are now part of your organization, and you need to train every employee accordingly. Payment should be done. So it's a cost now to the business, but the worker won't be contributing anything productive to the business. And in some cases, there can be some delays. Delays can as well be available as the employee may start the job later on. So that will also lead to less productivity because you are assuming you have more employees and they'll contribute, but in this case, they're still new. They're still understanding how to do their job. So that may also affect the business performance. And next thing here, let's talk about on-the-job training. It happens within the workplace, and sometimes it occurs by watching a more experienced worker doing the job, and there are benefits to that. First one here, it ensures there is some production from a worker whilst they are training. And secondly, it usually costs less than off-the-job training where the employees are supposed to travel to a place far away from the organization. In this case, everything is happening within the workplace. So the cost of traveling, accommodation, flights, all those things will be reduced. And also, it is training to the specific needs of the business. In this case, it's an on-the-job. It's a hands-on activity. You are being trained whilst you are doing the job. So you tend to understand the needs of that particular job that you will be performing in the business. Then for you to go out there and learn various subjects which may not go on to relate to your job you'll be performing. This one here, it's aligned with your needs in the business. But however, the trainer will lose some time to produce, as they will take time now to teach the new employee and they're not doing their own activities. So for them to finish off now their activities, that may actually be time wasted. And sometimes the trainer may have bad habits that they may go on to pass on to the trainee. So the trainee will end up acting or working like their trainer, following all their steps, which sometimes may not be ethical or right when it comes to the activities being done in the organization. And also, it may not necessarily be recognized training qualifications that you can use as an employee to outside the business. So anything that you gain within the business, it will only work within, because it's only us who understands you and not the outsiders. And there won't be any certificate or any degree or diploma that you receive afterwards. But some organizations, they provide, if you are doing some apprenticeship, they may give you a certificate, but though it may not be recognized by other organizations outside your business. And in some cases, employees may be trained away or outside the workplace. And this can be done using the specialist trainers, or you may be asked to attend colleges. Some they go for workshops, some they go for a tour, and various ways can be used. So benefits of you being trained or maybe getting some education from an educational institution, what are they? First one here is a broad range of skills can be taught using these techniques. So you're going to be taught various subject areas. Some may not be relevant, of course, but you understand a lot of areas that may go on to benefit you in the workplace. And employees may be taught a variety of skills, and they will become multi-skilled. And that will allow you now to perform a number of activities in the business. In case one employee fails to come to work, you can as well be utilized to perform the activities because you understand how other tasks are done within the business. But however, there are benefits or there are drawbacks as well which come through with this. The costs of training you outside the workplace, they are very much higher as compared to internally. Was supposed to pay for the accommodation, the traveling costs, etc., the fees, all those costs. Summing them up, they will be way more than what we could have experienced if we had given you the training within the workplace. And also it means wages are paid, but no work is being done by the worker. So that's a cost. And not contributing towards the business performance, but you're supposed to receive a payment even if you are away from the workplace. So it's a cost to the business. And also the additional qualifications means it's now easier for the employee to leave and find another job. So the more certificates you are going to acquire, the degrees, the diplomas, that can also allow you to apply for jobs in another organization, of which you're going to leave that business which allowed you to get all those qualifications. So that's now also a cost to the business. So businesses, the moment they grow, and you may see that they may go on to conduct what you call workforce planning, which is simply the establishment of the workforce needed by the business for the foreseeable future in terms of the number and skills of employees required. We need to make a plan. So how many employees do we require next year? And this is determined by the demand of our product. And also, if we have more machines, we may require less number of employees. If there are fewer machines, we may require more employees. And the skills which are required should also be determined. So you must conduct what you call workforce planning to see how many employees you may require in the future and what skills are they supposed to carry with them. But however, in some cases, the businesses may go on to downsize, which is simply the reduction in the number of employees or workforce that they have. So there are reasons why businesses may downsize. Automation. The moment a business decides to bring in new machines to produce goods and services, it means they no longer require more of labor, because the business is now capital intensive and not labor intensive. So some employees will lose their jobs in such a case. Falling demand for their products. If your market share is decreasing or it's reducing or it's shrinking, it means there are now fewer customers who are demanding your products, who are buying your products in the market. So you'll be forced now to reduce the number of your employees, because the lesser the customers buying your product, the lower the business revenue. And also, if the costs are higher, then your profits will become lower and you may not afford to pay all those employees. So you'll be forced to downsize or to make some of the employees redundant. And also factory or a shop or office closure. Some businesses, they close due to a number of reasons. It can be the economic hardships in the country. It can be the death of the owner, or some businesses may be outcompeted in the market and they'll be forced to close their operations. And employees in that case will be forced or will be made redundant. All right, they will be retrenched, actually. They will lose their jobs. And also in some cases, some businesses may relocate their factories to another area which can be far away from their current employees. So in that case now, they will lose their jobs. And also, in some cases, the businesses may merge or they can go on to be taken over by another business. And when that happens, it means some jobs are no longer needed, as they will not afford to have two people performing the same role. So one person is supposed to be made redundant. You will lose your job in such a case. So all these are reasons why businesses go on to downsize. So businesses, normally, they downsize using two major ways. First one here is dismissal. If a worker is misbehaving or they're going to do a misconduct, for example, late coming, insubordination, those are what you call misconducts. If you continuously do that, it grows to become what you call a gross misconduct. So a gross misconduct, it calls for instant dismissal. Misconducts, they may give you a warning, a verbal warning, written warning. They may call you as well for a hearing. But if you keep on doing that same act, then it becomes a gross misconduct and they'll be forced to dismiss you from work instantly. But there are some acts which are defined as gross misconduct, like stealing, fighting in the workplace, etc. Those ones, they simply call for an instant dismissal. So such behavior are uncalled for in the workplace. And by doing that, they will be reducing the size of their workforce. Also, redundancy. In some cases, due to the changes happening in the business environment, the employee's skills, knowledge, and qualifications may no longer be relevant or needed by the organization. So they'll be forced to make you redundant. You'll lose your job, but are no longer needed by the business. So in that case, the business may go on to arrange a compensation for the redundancy. All right, and some money will be given to you as a package as you leave the job. Was no longer needed or no longer relevant to our current status quo. And also, so these two here, they happen due to the employer making the decision for you to be dismissed or to be made redundant. But however, a worker or an employee may also decide to resign from their job. So the moment you get a better job offer, you are free to leave that particular job you are performing now. So you go on to resign from that job. And in some cases, the employees may retire. The moment you're getting old and you're above 60 or 65 in some countries, you are forced to retire. And some may go on to want to stop working because they're no longer okay with working. It can be due to the health conditions or any other factor that may affect your performance may force you to retire from work. So all this, it means that business is going to have a decrease in the size of its workforce. Right, and the last part here, let's talk about the legal controls over employment issues. Employees and employers, the moment they sign an employment contract, that's the first document which is going to bind them, to bind the two. So there are laws which are also available, which are supposed to protect both the employees and the employers during the course of the employment tenure. So there are a lot of the government laws which affect the employment of the employees. There are a number of them. So these laws, they require the businesses to treat the employees equally in the workplace. And when being also recruited and selected, there should be no discrimination based on gender, religion, race, or any other basis of discrimination. Shouldn't be there at all. All employees should be given equal employment opportunities and should be treated fairly because they're all humans. So employees, they are protected in many areas, which includes unfair discrimination at work and also when applying for a job. The wage protection, the government sets the minimum wage almost every year. So all employees are supposed to pay the employees accordingly. not anything below that amount, it becomes illegal. Health and safety standards, these or they depend with the type of work you are doing. Some jobs are risky and some are less risky, but there should be some standards to be followed, which are going to make each and every employee to feel safe to perform the activities with no fear of being harmed or getting injured whilst they are performing the duties of their employer. And also unfair dismissal. Some employees may just hate you for no reason and they wake up tomorrow and say, you are fired, or you've lost your job, you are dismissed, but there is no clear basis of your dismissal. In such a case, that is illegal, and the employee may go on to sue the employer and they'll be compensated accordingly. So all these areas are the ones which the employer is supposed to be protected, or they may suffer from all these when they are working for their various employers. So when this happens now, we can go on to have what we call an industrial tribunal, which is simply a legal meeting which considers workers' complaints of unfair dismissal or any form of discrimination. And they'll go on to hear both sides of the case and may give the worker compensation if the dismissal was unfair. So this will be held a tribunal. All right, and next part here, it's all about me actually thanking you for watching this video, and I hope you're going to share, like, and subscribe to our channel. And also, if you have any question, feel free to contact me through my email shown on the screen. I hope to see you again in the next video. Enjoy your day. Ciao.